Dear students, very good morning. We are pleased to welcome you all in this 36th live webinar on a very important and interesting topic, that is practical aspects about the concurrent audit on banks. Last week also we hold the session on this particular topic, and from now we will be continuing in this session. So we are fortunate to have amongst us our keynote speaker, CA Rohit Ruvatia ji, who is currently the Vice Chairman of Committee for Development of International Trade Services and WTO, and a very important committee, DRTC, which is looking after all the digital reforms in the Institute, and our Public Relation Committee of ICI. He is an esteemed member of the Central Council of ICI for this term, an altruistic, hard worker bestowed with exceptional organizational, networking, administrative, and leadership skill. CA Rohit Ruvatia ji has made noteworthy contributions in whatever capacity he has served the profession of chartered accountancy. He has been a prolific speaker at various national forums, international forums. Sir, we thank you and express our gratitude for taking out time to address our beloved students. You are always there, and whenever we look forward to you as a member of the Board of Studies Operations, you always give whatever possible in the best interest of our students. Thank you for being with us today, sir. We also welcome our learned speaker, CA Shashank Patkiji, who is a very senior chartered accountant and has an experience of more than 39 years. Then we also have with us CA Yogesh Pankaji, who is the co-opted member of Board of Studies Operations, and he is very instrumental in organizing these practical training modules. So students, as you are aware that Board of Studies Operation is conducting these live sessions on every Sunday. And herein we take all possible efforts to cover the aspects which will help you out in your articleship training. Thank you for joining us today in this live webinar. In the interest of the time, may we now request our keynote speaker of today's session, CA Rohit Ruvatia sir, to please enlighten us.
Thank you, Alokji. Thank you for your kind words and for my introduction. Our speaker of today's session, Shashank ji and Yogesh ji, the technical team of Board of Studies, Jyoti ji and Kapil ji, and all my dear students. A very good morning to all the people present over here. And of course, to begin with, let me first thank to our President and Vice President, who has given us an opportunity to start such kind of initiative. And again, I would like to thank our Chairman and Vice Chairman of the committee, Sushil Goyal ji, the Chairman, and Sridhar Mupala sir, the Vice Chairman of the committee, who are looking forward towards this great initiative. Students, just let me tell you that this is a very important aspect, because practical training. So you people have already heard that you are doing the practical training under your principal, but sometimes it is seen that we are not able to gather the information, we are not able to learn all aspects. So in order to cover these all aspects, because we may feel that our principal may have certain works but may not have certain types of work. So in that case, to cover these things, we have started this practical training, and it is the 36th episode of the practical training. So I would like to congratulate the whole team of Board of Studies Academics, who are putting their hard efforts in taking care of all the students. Again, now we are moving ahead, the time is changing, and yes, we are learning through the technology. So it is a great initiative. Let me tell you, friends, I remember my day when I was article, and I remember approximately 14 years before I was the article, and I took my training under 3 odd principles. And I was forced to shift my articleship every year, though I was registered with only one principal, but I need to, because in order to learn a lot of things, I need to do on secondment and other things, so that I can learn many things. That time, these kinds of facilities were not available at the institute, but now these facilities are helping a lot to all the students. I would prize to all the students that kindly participate in these activities, these kind of programs, and absolutely participation in all kind of institute activities also very important for us. the way we believe that the practical training was important in our time, the articleship, nowadays it is this practical training module which we have started is equally important. I'm quite confident that those students who are doing their practical training in both the ways, under your principal, and who are doing the practical training module of the institute very seriously and focusedly, I can guarantee, and I'm very confident that in future, whenever you will come in the practice or whenever you go to the corporate for any kind of opportunity, you will be different from your colleague because you have put more focus on learning areas, because at level you will find a lot of activities. And these modules, if you have done, and if you mention these modules in your resume that you have done these modules, this will certainly uplift your resume also, that you have learned all the spares and all the aspects, that it will give a message that you have a basic understanding of various topics, various opportunities, various professional understanding. And right now, today, we are talking about concurrent audit on banks. So this is very, very important. The concurrent audit in India, all the banks have the concurrent audit. So the institute has also developed its certificate course on concurrent audit. I myself has done the certificate course on concurrent audit. And in future also, whenever you had a chance after becoming a chartered accountant, one must do the certificate course on concurrent audit, because this course actually enhances our skills. We can understand that how to perform the audit, how to behave practically at the bank location, what kind of things we need to take care. So these things we learn in the concurrent audit subject. And this concurrent audit course is also now mandatorily given points in C&AG audit. So 2 days before the C&AG guidelines have come, so you may correlate that the government of India is also feeling that this concurrent audit certificate course of the institute has a great value, which will actually enhance the quality of the chartered accountant. So you people are fortunate to learn the concept by this module, because many of you may be doing the concurrent audit under your principal at various branch locations. So in today's session and in the previous session, if you combine together, you will have a lot of input which will help you in performing actually the compliance and other things, which will improve the quality of audit which you are doing. And in toto, it will help your principal to give a good quality audit report, because your principal and you both are comparative, and you both are complementary to each other, because whatever work you will do and whatever review he will make the complete audit report. So these kind of sessions are very important. We must focus it, and we must learn a lot many things which will help, which will upgrade our skill. And let me tell you, friends, this is one of its kind, because now the new education policy says that we should have the vocational training in our curriculum. So this is the basic example of vocational training. Practical training we are already having, but the vocational training we have introduced through this platform, which is actually upgrading your skills, which will help you a lot in your future. And continuously you should participate in all the activities using DLH, the Digital Learning Hub, various institute programs. Kindly always see all the mails and all the communication of the institute which you receive. Be focused towards institute. And in the last, I would just like to say, always respect your alma mater. Kindly focus that you have to give respect to your alma mater, because from where you are qualified, you should feel that feeling in your heart that this is the institute from which I am going to qualify. I will become something in future. So have that feeling that yes, it is my mother institute. I should have that feeling, and always take care posting something on social media or any other platform. If you have any kind of issue or query, you may connect to the office of the institute, to the any elected member, maybe central council, maybe the regional council, maybe the branch officers, the institute officers. We are always available 24/7 to help you. It may happen sometimes any of the people may not pick the call. So if you have any issue or query, you may drop the message with your issue on the WhatsApp. I'm confident if you mail it or if you WhatsApp it, your issue will be resolved. So feel pride becoming a student, becoming a chartered accountant student. The new scheme is approaching. Maybe in this month, we will be able to get the approval from the ministry. And this new curriculum will change a lot of horizon in the future, because now the articles will period of 2 years. If this new scheme is approved, then no 3-year articleship will be there. Only 2-year articleship you have to do with a serious focus. And if there is someone who is focused on doing all these practical module, practical training, I am confident that particular student will become chartered accountant in the period of 36 months. So this will be a great initiative. With this, I just conclude my work because a parallel session is also running, which I need to attend. That is also for the newly qualified CAs who have taken the COP. So in the meantime, I'm walking in the corridor and taking this session because I could not stop myself. And thanks to the Board of Studies who have given me the opportunity to interact with you all. With this, I just mark my word. Thank you once again.
Sir, you need to unmute.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing us your experience as a student. And yes, you have very rightly pointed out that earlier, the opportunities which are available are quite limited. But with the advent of technology, the institute has very rightly taken up all the platforms as to how we can reach out to every nook and corner on pan-India basis. So thank you so much for sharing your experience, your insights with us. And we are so much thankful to you, sir, for agreeing to our request to address the students. May I now request Yogesh Pankaji, our moderator for today's session and also the co-opted member of Board of Studies. Sir, you have always been there in chalking out as to what kind of modules we should be coming out in these practical training modules. So we are always thankful to you for guiding us, for mentoring us. And I would now request you to please kindly take over the session and also introduce our eminent speaker for today, Shashank Patkiji. Thank you so much, sir.
Good morning. Thank you, Alokji. Thank you for your very kind words. It's just my duty. Now, since we are already crossing 10:45, I think since our eminent speaker Shashank Patkiji is here, we should listen to him. And sir, are you ready? Shashank, sir? Okay, sir. Sir, you are on mute. Yes, sir. My dear students, it's time to gather all the information, all the knowledge, and we have among us Shashank Patki sir. Shashank Patki sir, the floor is all yours, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I'll just share my PPT. Yes.
In the meantime, I'll share the introduction of Shashank Patki sir. Sir, can I have 2 minutes of time? Shashank Patki sir is a senior chartered accountant and has an experience of more than 39 years. Passion for audit and has experience of central statutory audit of various government companies, public sector commercial banks, listed and private companies. He has also been statutory auditor of many nationalized private banks, housing finance companies, and major cooperative banks. His experience is manifold, and he has worked as an arbitrator. He has consulted many large cooperative banks on various broad matters and balance sheet presentations. He has carried out many special assignments, such as drafting audit manuals, account manuals for government PSUs and private limited companies and trusts. He was the conveyor of Financial Reporting Review Group Pune 1 group of ICI. He is faculty for many areas of audit, especially for CARO 2020 and amendments to long-form audit report of Bank LFAR. Taxation of trust, reporting requirements in cooperatives, NPA management, one-time settlement and restructuring of loans, concurrent audit, and credit appraisals using statutory terms as a tool, etc. He is also founder director of Sri Lakshmi Shraddha Vidya Prabodhini, a VHP initiative for establishing a vocational and skill development center. Students, I think it is a privilege to hear to him and to learn from him. Sir, we are all ears for you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Good morning. Actually, I'm very happy that, and I really congratulate Board of Studies for taking such practical lectures on auditing. Because always, if you see, there are many seminars on direct taxes and indirect taxes. As earlier, Honorable Suresh Prabhuji had mentioned, that institute was formed for conducting and controlling the audits. But now the many chartered accounts, they are in direct taxes and indirect taxes. As earlier Mr. Rohit said, what is the experience in this? Because most of the chartered accounts, they are working in taxation, direct taxation, indirect taxation. That is the thrust area that people think. But really, auditing, that is the base, I feel, because even if you are filing tax returns, then you should have a basis of audit. So I really congratulate Board of Studies for taking up this particular thing. And again, concurrent audit of banks, that has been the core area now which we are thinking. I'm not saying that I'm giving you any lecture or something like that, because yesterday, last week also, somebody has talked on concurrent audit. So basic concepts you might have explained. Then all those students, some of the students, they might have the practical experience of concurrent audit also. So here, really, I don't want to repeat certain things, and I don't want to go to the explaining certain basic concepts again. So what I'm doing is I am sharing my views and my perspective of what a concurrent audit should be and whatever practical things. Because generally what happens, whenever somebody talks about a concurrent audit, he talks about the loans, he talks about the NPAs, he talks about the fraud and all those things. But really, what is concurrent audit? Concurrent audit and statutory audit, there is a basic difference. I'm going to come to that. But here, actually, I am going to talk on certain minor aspects. Though these aspects are minor, they are very important from the perspective of concurrent audit. So today's whatever I'm going to talk, that I have distributed in 3 areas. First is basics, that is why, what and how. Then second, responsibilities, that it is always said that with great responsibilities comes the accountability. So concurrent auditor is accountable. So what are the responsibilities? What I feel, they are our responsibilities because we are doing concurrent audit. And then again, there is one thing that I feel that is a must-do list. Whenever we are carrying out any audit, I have told my assistant that these things have to be done. If that record is not available, you see that record is available and you go ahead. So let us go to that basics. Before going of basics, before talking about concurrent audit, let us talk about the audit. Because I am in this audit for last 40 years. So I have got my philosophy of audit. So let me just share my philosophy of audit with you. If I ask you one question, what is audit? Whether audit is a science or it is an art, it is very difficult to answer, that you may feel, because there are essays, standards on auditing. So we have to carry out our audit according to that only, because always we have to take into consideration what are the guidelines of the institute on that, what are the standard of auditing that is saying, and we are following that. But again, if we just follow that, it is a mechanical audit. And mechanical audit really doesn't serve the purpose of audit. We have to understand what is the purpose of audit. And for that, I feel the audit is an art. Whatever audit I do, whatever audit you do, whatever some other person does, so he does it from a different perspective, from a different state of mind, and whatever his ideas are there. So actually, whenever I am telling my article students what is audit, because that is the first day of my interaction with them, so I tell them about the 4 C's of audit. What are those 4 C's of audit? Let us talk about that. First, it is a common sense. Second is competence. Third is curiosity. And fourth is confidence. But again, if you see, if you have got all the 3 C's, then you get a confidence. And if you are confident, then you can do the best audit. Because in audit, I always tell people, okay, what is audit? It is the only profession in the world where the client pays you for pointing out his own mistakes. So it is really very important that whatever we are telling the client, we always tell the client that auditor is not always right. So whatever compliance you are giving, we are open for correction. That is true. But when I am auditing, I have to be confident because I am raising certain query, I am raising certain objection, I am giving my report on something. So there I should be very confident. And for being confident, all these 3 C's are necessary. In this regard, I would just like to tell you one story. It is a story of Akbar Badshah and Birbal. In what happened, once Akbar Badshah was sitting in his darbar, and he saw some lot many cards. They are coming to the near darbar. So he asked one fellow. Actually, his wife had asked him, "Ki, why at all you are having Birbal as your main consultant? You should appoint my brother at his place." So he thought it is a chance. So he called that fellow and he asked him, "Ki, Baba, you go there and you see what exactly is happening. Why those cards are coming?" So that fellow, from where they are coming? So that fellow went out and he came inside. He said, "Sir, those cards are coming from Punjab." He said, "Why? What actually they have brought?" That person, he went out. Again, he came after 5 minutes. He said, "They are bringing wheat." Then again, Akbar said, "Okay, they are bringing wheat, but they should have brought it to the marketplace. Why they are bringing it to near our place or near our godown? So what is the matter?" Then again that fellow went out. Meanwhile, Birbal came from outside. And Akbar Badshah said, "Ki, why Birbal today you are late? You are always very punctual, you are very particular, and why you are late?" Then he said, "Ki, sir, actually while I was coming, so Japana मैंने देखा कि certain cards were coming. So I went there, I asked them, ki, what are these cards? They said, ki, we are bringing wheat from Punjab. He said, which type of wheat? They told me, ki, that is the best type of wheat there. Then I asked them why they are coming. They said ki, they want to sell that wheat in Delhi. So I asked them, what is the price? They told me the price. Actually, I bargained with them. And then after bargaining, I thought that we should buy that wheat so that we can supply it to our people at reasonable cost. He was just like Arvind Kejriwal, you can say. So that Akbar Badshah, he said, ki, excellent. And then he said, ki, actually, I have put an order and I asked them to unload that entire wheat in our godowns. And then they should come to the Darbar for taking the money at the price whatever I have decided. So Akbar Badshah was very happy and he told his wife, see what he has done. So now you will ask me, ki, what is the relevance of my this 4 C's with the Birbal story? It was the first curiosity that Birbal, while he was coming, he was very curious to know what exactly is happening and why so many cards are coming. So that was his curiosity. Then he talked about the quality of the wheat, then that he verified that quality. Then he bargained about the price. He knew what was the price, existing price, at what price he should take. So that was his competence. And then again, he knew that buying wheat at this particular time would help Akbar Badshah, or it would save a lot of cost to the treasury. So it was his common sense. And with this curiosity, competence, and common sense, he had a confidence that even if he buys that particular thing without authority also, he was sure that Badshah will approve that particular thing. So I will say that Birbal was the original CA in India. So we have to follow the Birbal's ideas and we must have all these 4 C's which will help us in our general auditing, not even in concurrent audit, but any type of audit. Now again, when we go to basics, then why concurrent audit? I think somebody of you must have done the statutory audit of national banks. So if you just see, so in that, always there are so lot many annexures, those are to be signed, and lot many annexures, those are to be filled in. So there are 2 annexures which are very lengthy in nature. That is, one is Ghosh Committee questionnaire and another is Gilani Committee. I will tell you from practice that whenever we are filling that Ghosh Committee or Gilani Committee now, basically I am also a bit irritated. Kitne jawab dene? And how many questions we are answering. And again, those questions are such that being a statutory auditor, I feel, how I would know? Because knowing for all these things, it requires a detailed verification, and that is not possible at the time of statutory audit. So generally, all the chartered accountants who are carrying out statutory audits, they know Ghosh Committee, they know Gilani Committee, and somebody might be saying, they might be cursing Ghosh and Gilani. Why at all you are giving those questionnaires that we have to fill unnecessary? But really, if I tell you the background of this, we should be thankful to Mr. Ghosh because he was the first person who insisted upon the concurrent audit, who gave a thrust on the need of concurrent audit, and he gave what is the made by concurrent audit and why it should be covered. So really, the concurrent audit area, which is open to chartered accounts now, it is thanks to Mr. Ghosh. So, and what happened in Ghosh committee recommendations were in October 93. So those were accepted, and then the concept of concurrent audit came. Afterwards, Gilani committee that recommended in August 96. Again, it was formed to verify the bank controls and all those things. And in August 96, again the scope was increased. But afterwards, everything was computerized, everything was in the system. So I will tell you that when first concurrent audit, what we were doing, it was that we were doing manually. And actually, to be frank, I think I was in a company which was doing lot many bank audits. So there, we got the first concurrent audit, and we were boasting in Pune, we have got a concurrent audit. But when I personally went for concurrent audit, I was not very clear what actually I am doing. What differently I am doing from statutory audit, that I didn't know. But then what we used to do, if whatever concurrent audit report was there, then we were preparing our own report. So it was time taking. And again, as always what we do, it was a reporting by exception. But afterwards, and all those reports those were given to the bank used to go through the concurrent audit reports, those were used by statutory auditors. But again, RBI was not really going through the concurrent audit report. But afterwards, after Gilani committee and after concurrent audit revised guidelines, RBI knew the importance of concurrent audit, and now they have given the specific guidelines that what should be covered. And now that report, it is also being formalized and whatever areas are to be covered, those guidelines are given. Because if you give a reporting by exception, that RBI will never know whether you have covered all the areas or not. So now whatever concurrent audit we are doing, it is an assertion of existence of the internal control systems or non-existence of frauds or discrepancies in the bank or branch what we are auditing, we are carrying out concurrent audit. Now, if you come to what is concurrent audit, what is really concurrent audit? Whether it is a periodical audit. I will tell you practically what happens. In many cases, I have seen chartered account because I'm doing a statutory audit of banks. Sometimes I'm a central statutory auditor. So at that time, we just go through the concurrent audit reports of the branches also. So generally, what happens is concurrent audit many times. I am not saying in all cases, but many times that is done at the end of the month. At the end of the month, for 1 week, the persons go for concurrent audit, they verify that thing, that report is submitted. It is not only the mistake of the on the part of chartered accountant, because I have seen many of the banks, they are saying, don't come in between and don't disturb us. So you come at the back end of the month, so everything will be ready. So you can finish your concurrent audit within no time. Always we are busy. Now there are a lot many targets. So you don't spend more time on concurrent audit. But really, whether concurrent audit is only a periodical audit. If you carry out the audit at the end of the month, it will be only a periodical audit. It will be monthly audit. That is a yearly audit split into 12. Is it really so? No. So what is the real idea behind the concurrent audit? Concurrent audit always, if you see, it is actually the concurrent audit should take place as near to the transactions as they take place. So actually, there should not be any post-mortem. If you in the concurrent audit, if you carry out that concurrent audit at the end of the month and you say in the first week this was the mistake. So actually that is not there. And what is the real purpose of concurrent audit? You should understand. Just giving your report, just reporting the things is not the real purpose of concurrent audit. In concurrent audit, if you talk to the zonal managers of the banks and all, they always have a view that instead of reporting, actually whatever mistakes you point out, whatever errors you point out, that you should get rectified. So according to them, whatever big report you give, that is not the criteria assessing your performance. But whatever things, whenever they carry out any internal inspection or whenever any statutory audit is there, and if that time there are no comments in the reports of the branch, it is the success of concurrent audit. So that concurrent audit has got that wide and that important meaning that we should keep in mind when we are carrying out a concurrent audit. Concurrent audit is really an early warning system. And what is early warning system? If something is going to happen in bank, it should not be a post-mortem. You should point out that these are the areas where there can be some mistakes, there can be some problems. I will just give you a few examples of what can be the early warning signals. Certain, if you go through the certain loan accounts, the overdue are piling up, the EMIs are not coming monthly. instead of telling them after 3 months that this account has become NPA, it should be seen that this month, actually his installment was due on 10th. Until 20th, his installment has not forthcome. So we can point out that particular thing. Then again, many a times visits are paid by the bank and borrower is not available. If you see the visit report, it is mentioned that borrower is not available. If it is happening regularly, then again you should feel that there is something wrong and that should be pointed out. Then again, go down visits, they are postponed due to some flimsy reasons. So whether that has been happened. So all those things that is there. So that is the real meaning of concurrent audit, and it should be carried out at regular intervals. That's what I feel. So now, what is the role of a concurrent auditor? What is the role of a concurrent auditor? It is a supplementary role. It is to supplement the efforts of the bank for ensuring control. Bank has got some inherent controls. So you have to ensure that those controls, they are really exist and they are really followed. So that is the real purpose of concurrent audit. And again, what I feel is that in concurrent audit, whether testing is possible, no, because generally what it has been mentioned that it is a substantive checking. Substantive means you have to check literally all the items, and it is a transactions audit. There is a difference in transactions audit and balance sheet audit. Whenever we are carrying out statutory audit, it is the audit of the financial statements, and the statutory auditor certifies whether really the financial statement give a true and fair view. But in concurrent audit, that is not the purview of the statutory concurrent auditor. He has to carry out the transactions audit. And as I said, accountability. That accountability is here because once you have carried out the concurrent audit, and again, if at all there is any fraud, there is any problem which could have been located by the concurrent auditor, in that case, the onus of that fraud and that responsibility of that, accountability of that would fall on the concurrent auditor. So you have to ensure that there is a proper control, and if at all there is any fraud, it might not have been noticed because of the lack of control, and that we have already reported. Now, again, there is one particular aspect when we are carrying out concurrent audit. One particular aspect always that branch manager talks to us. Whenever whether propriety that is to be checked or the checking has to be restricted to the policies and procedures followed. Generally, in the original guidelines for concurrent audit given by RBI, they have mentioned that you should not assume the position of the branch manager or the bank authorities. That whatever they have done, you should not question that. But again, in the same guidelines, it has been mentioned that you have to verify the propriety. You have to verify the propriety of those actions. In this, what happens, I will tell you. What is the motive of RBI behind the concurrent audit is also that the bank or that particular branch is following certain policies or guidelines specifically issued by RBI, whether those have been followed. Generally, bank prepares its own policies, and on those policies are followed, and whatever loans are sanctioned or whatever operations are done, those are according to guidelines. But in one cases, I had observed that there is a discrepancy between the RBI policy, or there is a difference between the RBI policy and the bank policy. Like I'll give you a small example. In RBI policy, it has been mentioned that if at all you are giving gold loans in excess of rupees 2 lakhs, so EMI should be prescribed. Means you cannot give a loan more than rupees 2 lakhs for 1 year as it is by a lump sum payment, but EMI should be prescribed for gold loans. But I have seen in one case, in one national bank, they have given a policy that gold loans, there should not be given any EMI. Then in this case, what is to be done? So here that propriety aspect comes into picture. What happened?
Your slides are not changing.
Pause झाला. Just a minute, I'll just check what has been, because I can see the next slide. Again, I will share.
So your PPT is there, but it's not updating.
Yeah, I understood. So it is happening only first page, na?
Yes, sir.
Now, first page is this. They can see only first page. Is it visible?
Yeah, sir, it's visible. First, switch on slideshow view.
Slideshow करना. Slideshow.
No, from current slide, there we have option.
Current slide पासून कर.
The next to the same option. Center one.
नहीं. From current slide ना.
Yeah.
Yeah, from current slide na.
Yes, sir.
So now, can you see?
So it's still not in slideshow view.
Why it is happening? I don't understand. नाही दिसत कसं करायचं? Stop sharing this. Okay.
So start from the starting and then click on for the next slide now. It's hardly matter. Just switch the slides.
No, this is from beginning, I will say, na?
Yes, it's from beginning again.
Then, yeah, this is beginning. Here it is.
Sharing is paused.
Here it is resume share. Here you have to say resume share. नहीं
Do one thing, just go to the slide which you are presenting and then click on next by your keyboard if it's not slide showing. Just ignore that. So just continue with the session.
Just a minute. So now.
Yeah, it's the slide you're presenting is visible. Just click on the next slide for switching on that.
Yeah. Instead of slideshow, I will do like this.
Yeah, it's hardly matter. So do that. No issue.
Yeah. So basics. So it is a basics role of concurrent auditor. You are seeing that, na?
Yes, sir. It's visible now.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. It's visible.
Yeah. Instead of slideshow, I will go on clicking on this.
Yeah. Okay, sir.
Okay. So where I was. So that propriety, it is to be mentioned in the report in that particular thing. Then there has to be focus on the fraud prone area. Then it is a transaction audit, as I said. Just a minute. I think I lost my listing here. Here, what I was mentioning is that propriety, that is to be checked. So here you have to be very particular because always whenever generally the people say you should not question the authority of the bank, whatever circulars they have given, you have to stick to those circulars. But again, as I mentioned in the case of gold loans and all those such cases where the RBI policies are different from bank policies, that should be commented upon. Then it is a focus on fraud prone areas that will cover while we are in that. then it is a transactions audit. So what is transactions audit is that if we have to verify all the transactions, most of the transactions, not only loans and deposits. Again, those transactions I will be covering in my next listing. Again, there is one particular thing, always a concurrent audit, for while starting the concurrent audit, one appointment letter is given. Generally, this appointment letter is not read thoroughly and audit is carried out. But here I feel that appointment letter, those terms and conditions, that scope is decided by the audit committee of each bank's board of directors on the recommendation of the inspection and audit department. And again, one specific letter is issued for appointment letter where all the terms and conditions are mentioned. These terms need to be read carefully by all persons conducting the audit. Why this is important, I will tell you. Because now, literally all the banks, they are having their own audit programs or audit reports in the system, and you have to go on filling the audit reports. But you have to ensure that all the terms and conditions mentioned in the appointment letter, whether they are included in the audit report. I'll give you two examples in that, because generally in some cases it has been mentioned that security verification of all the loan accounts above rupees 10 lakhs is to be carried out by the concurrent auditor along with the branch official. But if you just see any audit report, I'm just generalizing this particular my remark, that in any audit report, this aspect has not been mentioned. Then what is to be done? Because we complete our audit report, concurrent audit, by submitting our reports on that. And in that, how we are going to mention whether we have gone for that concurrent audit or not, because that term and condition at the end of the year, the bank may say that we have not carried out this concurrent audit as per the terms and conditions of this thing. So it is necessary that once that appointment letter is received, all the terms are verified, and then again that particular matter is discussed with the branch manager, and we have to ask him, we have to visit various units along with the branch manager. So we have to request the branch manager that he should arrange certain meetings by having in consultation with us, and again he should have a planned program, and according to that we can go forward. Again, in some of the cases, peculiarly they have mentioned that every month at least 25 housing loan accounts, those should be visited. Here actually it's a real problem, that what the bank means by visiting the bank, visiting the housing loans. Because suppose you go to the housing loans along with the branch manager, that particular person is there, a person is not there, the house is locked or something like that. In that case, what is to be done? Or whether that housing loan or that house has to be visited again and again till we meet that particular borrower, that is not clear. But in this case, I feel that instead of leaving the condition as it is, we should talk to the zonal office and all, and we should ask them how these particular areas are to be completed. And if that is not to be completed, at least we should mention them by at least an email. We are not able to do all these things. Whenever we are starting any concurrent audit or any audit program, that is a must. And in case of concurrent audit, this audit program is very important, because I will tell you one thing, I will talk in Hindi, कि मेरे एक पार्टनर थे कि वो हमेशा कहते थे कि हर रोज की रसोई करना आसान है, हर रोज की रसोई करना मुश्किल है. अगर आपको किसी पार्टी के लिए बनाना है तो दैट इज पॉसिबल, लेकिन हर रोज की रसोई वही बनाना है, वही चीजें बनानी है, उसी स्टाइल से बनानी है, एंड देयर शुड नॉट बी एनी चेंज. So that is very difficult. It is a case of concurrent audit, because the person who is carrying out concurrent audits, he is going to do the same thing again and again. So there is a chance that he should not get bored and certain areas should not be missed. So here basically auditing standards and manual on concurrent audit of banks, whatever has been issued by ICI, it is a very exhaustive, not exhausting, but it is very exhaustive. So it is necessary that manual is referred to, and your audit program is prepared according to that. Here we have to ensure that every area is covered, not only loans, not only deposits, and not only KYC. And here, two things are necessary. See, there should be a team of at least 2 persons, because practically, if you see that system, generally that system is available sometimes only, because there is no extra desktop or desktop computer is not there. So always there is a problem in getting that system. So our people, whenever they go there or you go there, so you have to sit idle because that particular system is not available or that system is not working. So always there should be two persons, because in concurrent audit report, rather than whatever time you take in carrying out the concurrent audit, more time you require is filling in the audit reports. So there should be actually one person who should be doing that filling up of concurrent audit reports, and another person should be verifying physical documents or whatever is required in the system also. Then it is very essential to understand what are software that particular bank is using. That is very essential, because earlier when we were carrying out the control initially, manual records were available, and getting those manual records was not a problem. You just request the branch manager or that clerk or officer and to get hold of those reports. Now whatever reports are there, that you have to get from the system itself. And I have seen that in many cases, even the branch manager or the concerned officer, they are not aware of certain reports. Those are available. So here, always if you are having a one particular bank continuously, then it is what I feel is that you should contact the zonal manager of that branch and request him to provide a short training in that particular software. I'll give you a small example of this. Long back, when we were first having that Bank of India audit, and then they had started using Finacle for the first time. So in that, again, getting the reports, it was a big problem. Then we had a specific problem to how to verify that interest application has been done in all the cases, because the program was there, but we found out that in while carrying out the audit, because that time it was not totally computerized, and again we were using manual tools also. So we verified certain accounts, and we came to know that in certain cases interest was not applied while verifying manually. So when this matter was brought to the notice of the branch manager, he said, I will have to see, I will have to verify all those things. Then this matter was taken to the zonal manager. We asked him how to verify that. It is not possible to go through all the accounts physically to see whether interest application has been done. That time he told us that there is one particular program that was called InCal in the early stages of Finacle. So he said that you run that program and it will give you a list of the accounts where interest application has not been done, and again the results why those applications have not been done. So these type of things, now everything is advanced, but still in whatever software the bank is using, it is necessary, I feel, it is utmost essential that your people should have that particular training specifically in that software, and you should be aware of whatever reports can be generated, I'm saying, because banks generally, if they don't know, they will give you only limited reports, and then again our concurrent audit will be constrained to or restricted to those particular areas also. Now there is one issue that whenever we go a specific login of concurrent audit or statutory audit or for audit purpose, that is specified, and again it has got a separate password. I feel that I have instructed all my people that use that particular login and that particular password only, because it has got a view only, because you cannot make any entry, and that is very important when you are carrying out concurrent audit, because when suppose you are using that view is not given to you, that password is not given to you, and you are logging in through the branch manager or any officer, and tomorrow if something happens during that period, because what happens, you log in that system, then again you are not continuously working on that, you are verifying certain other record. In between, if somebody does something or enters something using your login, because that login is already there, then the responsibility lies on the concurrent auditor. So in that thing, again, it is not possible that you are going somewhere, you log out, again you log in, because you know practically how much time it takes to log in again. So there it is my specific suggestion that use your view only option, and that is also specifically allotted to the concurrent auditor. If it is not there, I will suggest you, as a matter of safety, you mention if this particular login was not given to us. As such, we are constrained to use that particular thing, and during that period, we have not done anything, we have not entered anything, we use that login only for viewing the reports and all those things. So that type of thing, I feel that we should take as our own safety. Then Again, in that particular audit program, there should be objectives, the procedures, what are to be performed. And again, you have to decide who is the staff responsible for particular procedures. There have to be detailed instructions for performing such procedures. It should not be left to that particular thing. And again, as you are the student, I will request you, if at all any certain instruction is given to you by your principal, and if you don't understand that, please get it understand. I am telling all my articles, what is audit? Whenever you are carrying out audit, you should have one question, that is why. If somebody tells you, you verify this, you should have your own mind, you should know in your own mind why you are auditing. If somebody tells you you cannot only 10% check or test check, 90% you should not check, then again you should ask him why it should not be checked. Because as I said, it should not be a mechanical thing. So unless you know why you are doing, you won't get the idea. Your curiosity, your competence, your common sense, you won't be able to apply in that audit. So it is very much essential that your instructions are very clear. And if at all you have got any problem, just talk to your principal and get it clarified. Again, audit plan, as I said, it is a monthly audit. Monthly audit, as I said earlier, it should not be done at the end of the month, because in concurrent audit, there is no scope for post-mortem. You are doing something in the last end of the month, and you are saying something that it has happened in the first week of this month. Generally, it is the idea that all the queries, whatever you raise, whatever mistakes there were in branch, whatever you observed, those should be got corrected. That is the purview of the management, as I said earlier. So there, I feel that in concurrent audit, the visit to the branch should be every week. So whatever transaction you are verifying for that week, on that you can raise your queries. Those queries you can hand it over to the manager for solving them. Next week, again you should see that whether those have been solved. It will help you also in reducing your report, because what happens at the end of the month, when you are carrying out the audit, you have 100 queries. So it is not possible for the manager or the officer attending you that to solve all those queries, and unnecessarily those comments are mentioned in the report. Inserting those comments in the system, that is a problem. Again, the closure of the report, that is also required, that compliance. So it takes a lot of things. So that audit should be at periodical intervals during the month also. And again, I have mentioned that audit plan is to be dynamic to ensure coverage. I'll give you one small example of this. Whenever you are verifying the loans, always everybody tells you you verify the final accounts of the borrower. So which final accounts? If you are auditing in the month of April and May, whatever financial accounts you will be verifying, those will be for the earlier year. Again, here that is not possible. In many times, what happens, loans are sanctioned on the basis of tentatives for the current year provided by the borrower. So loan is given on that basis. In that particular month, it is not possible for you to verify the final accounts because tentative accounts are there. But what happens if the actual final accounts of the borrower, when finalized, they are totally in divergence with whatever tentative they had provided. So generally, as you know, all the income tax returns, generally they are over by October. Everybody's account should be over by October. So in the month of November, actually, everybody's final accounts should be completed and those should be submitted to the bank. However, now it is a era of extensions, and again, you know how clients are there; they always come at the last moment and all. So we should give them a time up to December in our own mind. So I feel in the month of January, in your audit plan, there should be a specific instruction to verify the final accounts of all the borrowers where the term loans have been sanctioned during the particular period, and in all the cash credit accounts. And there you should ensure whether the final accounts have been received from the borrower, and the matter does not end there, whether those have been analyzed by the bank, how. And again, I will request you, all of you, to just go through certain final accounts given by the, at least in critical cases, to compare with the whatever tentatives were given, and you can come to one conclusion that whatever final accounts are given, if they were there at the time of sanction, the sanction would not have taken place. Then again, it is a sort of early warning signal. There you can tell the bank that this particular account needs monitoring, because while sanctioning, sanctioning the loan. It was given on the basis of tentative, where there is a substantial variation. Substantial variation. So this your coverage should be dynamic to cover certain things. Always in certain months, it is expected that you should verify everything in monthly. But there can be certain areas. This is final accounts is just one of the examples. So you can decide which areas are to be planned in which month. Because what happens is generally, if you see the renewals of loans, generally they are not done during the month because of accounts are not submitted by the borrower, required information is not provided by the borrower, or the bank manager is busy. So always there is a short review, and the review comes in the fag end of the year. Fag end of the year. So there we have to keep certain time. So other areas should be specifically covered in the earlier month, so that in the last 2 months you can concentrate on the renewal of accounts, and again the term loans, major term loans disbursed during the last period. Then let us come to reporting. If at all you are doing excellent concurrent audit, or if you are doing any excellent audit, then also what should be there? Your excellent report is the mirror of whatever you have done during the earlier period or during the concurrent audit or audit. So your report has to be very specific. But again, once my partner was saying, in average but in time report is always better than an excellent but late report. And as you are aware, in most of the banks, they are saying that your report should be submitted before 10th or 15th and something like that. So that reporting has to be completed. And for if at all that report is completed before time, your report should be concise, and your report can be concise provided your queries throughout the month are solved in time, and then only you can have your concise report. As far as report is concerned, I feel the most important part is report closure. This is a practical difficulty every concurrent auditor faces, because we are giving the concurrent audit report on the prescribed date. Then the zonal office is giving target dates to the branch for completing the compliance. And then again, we are supposed to verify those compliances, and then we have to mention specifically okay, and we have to give the closure of the report. In many cases, it happens that branch many a times they give the proper compliance as noted for future thing. This thing will be done in the next month. This will be done at the time of renew. What are these types of compliances? They are mentioned there. And again, for that particular purpose, because when you are verifying the compliance, so whatever compliance is actually done, there you mention okay, and this compliance you are accepting, because you cannot accept any compliance unless you verify that particular thing. So in those cases, you go on doing that. But suppose in that particular report, there are only 2 cases where such type of things are there. Okay, this particular thing has not been done. It can be done in the next year, the next month, or after 2-3 months. Then what we should do? Because here, if you don't say okay, or if you don't accept the compliance, then the report is not closed. And always there is a pressure from the zonal office to ensure that your reports for the earlier months are closed. Here you have to be very specific, and you have to talk to the zonal manager if they are pressurizing you, and you have to tell them that you ask your manager to comply the things very particularly, and then only go for the closure of the report. Because if you close that report without, suppose it says if this particular thing will be done after 2 months, you accept that and then you close the report. But what happens if you don't remember that thing after 2 months? Suppose if you write down that particular thing, this is to be seen in the month of August, and in the month of August, if you don't see that, and again if it is persisting, then it is very difficult to remember that particular thing. So here proper care has to be taken for closure of the report. Now again, if we come to the responsibilities. So responsibilities are, what is responsibilities? So there are 2 types of responsibilities what I feel. Okay, that is, one is explicit responsibility and another is implied or understood responsibility. Explicit responsibility is what is explicitly stated in the appointment letter. As I said, you have to go through the terms and conditions. And again, apart from that, in audit report also certain things are mentioned. I am giving you here 2 examples here. One is physical cash verification. Physical cash verification has to be carried out at the time of concurrent audit, at the time of visit to the branch. that is an explicit responsibility because it is mentioned there. You have to physically verify the cash and mention that cash verification in the report. So that is your explicit responsibility. But again, here, what I'm saying, what is the implied or understood responsibility? Verification in cash is okay. But again, here we are concurrent auditors, and here we are carrying out operational transaction audit. So transaction audit means you are present there, and that time, what is happening there, that is your duty to understand. Again, curiosity and all those things come here, that you have to understand, and then you have to report it from risk factor. Because why this concurrent audit is there? It is from the internal control point of view, and again to arrest the frauds or any happening there in the bank. So here are two cases which I'm saying generally in our bank audit we had observed two things. There was an account of one petrol pump in the bank. The current account was there. So that petrol pump representative every day he was coming to the bank and he was reporting the cash. But again there is a closure time for the cash, and that person has to rush before that time. So there two things happened. Either he came late and he handed over the cash and the cashier accepted the cash after the time, or that petrol pump representative, he came to bank, he sat there, he verified the cash before the cashier and he told him, see, I have verified this cash and you accept this cash. So these two things, so that can't happen because it becomes a problem for the bank. And sometimes if you see the cashier, he takes the cash from safe, he takes cash out from the safe, and again in the evening he puts the cash inside the safe. So that time, who is assisting him? There are specific guidelines in case of Union Bank of India, at least that I know, the cashier should not be assisted or cash should not be handled by contractual staff. Because in the bank, there are employees who are regular employees, and at the same time, there are contractual staff employees. So there is a specific instruction that contractual staff should not handle the cash. Why? Because here, according to the bank, the responsibility cannot be fixed on the contractual staff and it has to be fixed on the employees only. So in this particular case, if you are observing while you are in the bank, if you are observing that certain these things or types of things are there, then it is our duty to report it in our report that it is a specifically risk. So that's why it is an implied thing. Then again, reconciliation of vacant lockers. Lockers, it is a very crucial area now. RBI has issued certain various circulars recently that I will be covering afterward. But here, again, at the time of audit, we are verifying the locker rent reconciliation, whether locker rent has come inside, received by the bank, and whether it is outstanding. And again, it is a reconciliation of vacant lockers. How many lockers the bank has and how many lockers are vacant. So in that particular case, again, it is our explicit responsibility to verify the vacant lockers. We have to get the keys and we have to verify that those lockers are really vacant. Nothing has been kept in that either by the customer or the bank officer. So that is the explicit responsibility. But again, when you are asking for the vacant locker keys, so where they should be? Those should be with the person who is handling the locker department, who is interested with that duty particularly. But if you see every time, whenever that vacant locker keys are there, that one or two locker keys are lying with the branch AGM and that key is brought from the branch AGM. So here, again, there is a problem. Why at all that particular one key or two keys were with the branch AGM? Why they are kept with him? Because there is a specific provision of keeping the keys with the locker person. Why at all the vacant locker keys are kept with the branch AGM or some other person? So here you should understand the reason, or at least you should give a report on that. So this is an implied, because this is not mentioned in the report, but this is an implied. You can think of various such responsibilities where, because you are sitting in the bank. So when you are sitting in the bank, so you should understand what is happening and what is happening. I will give you a small example yesterday only. Yesterday, my assistant, she came to me and she told me that there was a lot of jagda in the bank. Because one person came, he said, I had lodged a complaint, what happened to that complaint? So that person said, which complaint? He said, bring your complaint register. So that complaint register was not available. So that person brought a new complaint register from outside and he said, this is the complaint register. Then he said, where is my complaint written in that? Then they searched for that. They got the original complaint register. Then he said, yes, 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 my complaint is there. And again, the customer was wild. He said, my complaint was written. You are giving me bogus information that you are having a duplicate complaint register and all those things. So again, here, what is our role? We just can't enjoy whatever is happening there. We are heard and we are left. Here, we can mention, as far as this particular thing is there, it appears that the complaints of the customers, they are not taken proper care of. So these type of implied responsibilities, you should understand, you should identify, and you should fulfill them. Now I will come to one very important area, which I feel, as I said, it's a minor aspect, but it is very important from my purview. Basically, whatever we verify 100%. That loans we verify 100% because in the system itself, all the loans are there, and you have to mention the comments there. And if you don't mention the comments, it is presumed that you do not have any comment. So that way, it is taken care of. In case of deposits, also whatever KYC norms are there, unless you fulfill in that either yes or no, that report is not completed. But the certain areas where you are constrained to use the test check, but which are very important, and that whatever I said is substantive taking, that has to be in case of challans and daily vouchers. What are the challans for? Challans are for the cash deposits in the saving account, current account, deposit accounts, loan account, then cash withdrawal, that is from the deposit account, then transfer challans, that is transfer from one account to another. Here again, there are two types of challans. One is a system transfers and another is induced transfers. Means one person tells you to transfer this particular amount from his current account to his cash credit account, or there can be some transfer challans by system, that is interest calculation, charging of interest, and all those challans. Then checks deposited by the bank, those are the challans. Then RTGS, NEFT, for that whatever application and whatever debit challans signed by the persons. Then your expenses challans or receipt challans. So those are the challans or daily vouchers. I feel that this verification of these vouchers is a must. You should select a few days, and for those few days, the vouchers should be verified. Again, it should not be treated as a minor activity, and it should not be to the junior most person. Because always in audit program, what happens in these challans and daily vouchers, the person says, "अरे तुम जाओ और इतना ये देख के आओ." ये देख के आने वाली बात नहीं है, देखने वाली बात है. I will tell you what are the things to be verified specifically. It is to be verified date of voucher. Many a times the person who is writing the cash deposit or withdrawal voucher, they may mention anything. Like January has started, so many people still write 2022 instead of 2023. That is okay as far as they are writing. But here, what is the conclusive evidence of receipt or payment on that particular date is the date stamp, what is put on by the bank. So on every voucher, date stamp should be there. Then whenever cash paid is there, pay's signature should be there. Again, in deposit also, depositor's signature should be there on that voucher. I will come to this particular issue in my next point. But again, when there is a tailor system, those vouchers are cleared by the cashier himself. He pays or receives the amount in up to a particular limit up to which the tailor system operates. Then more than that, whenever there is any transaction of amount more than that specified amount, then one particular officer is passing that voucher. So that officer's passing voucher, the passing signature, it is also to be seen. In the system also, that officer passes authorizes that particular transaction. So that should also be seen that whether that officer has put in his own code and passed that particular voucher. Then, in case of cash deposit over rupees 50,000, as you know, whenever there is any cash deposit in excess of rupees 50,000, then PAN should invariably be mentioned on the challan. And but here what happens, if one particular person, if it is my account, if I am coming to the bank, then I am mentioning my own PAN, I am signing there and I am depositing that particular amount. But what happens if I am sending somebody else who is depositing that particular amount? Here, what is the case? So whose PAN and whose signature should be taken on that particular voucher of cash deposit in excess of rupees 50,000. You understand that cash report of, if somebody is reporting cash of 1 lakh rupees in my account, I should be happy. But that is not the case. You have to say PMLA or AML, where actually RBI is insisting those precautions should be taken. That's why this PAN thing has come. So if at all a third person is coming and depositing an amount in excess of rupees 50,000 in somebody else's account. So in my opinion, the signature of that particular person should be taken, but his PAN also should be, PAN number also should be taken, and that PAN should be got verified from him. Suppose you just ask him to mention his own PAN card, he mentions something ABCD. So whether really it is a compliance? No. Generally, here bank says when somebody is depositing any account, we are not bothered about that. That amount is paid, and then that depositor should take care. But once I was in a bank, one branch I was there. So there one person came and he asked the branch manager, who has deposited this amount of 1 lakh rupees in my account? He said it is not my amount. And actually my charter account is asking me for what this particular amount was received and how to show it in my account. Whether it is unexplained cash credit. I will go to that term. But in that case, what happened, that branch manager, he took out the challan and he said, if this particular your amount was paid by this fellow, his PAN number is there, and it was there. So he said, okay, he deposited. So he was supposed to pay me certain amount, but I didn't know that. But here, when that particular signature of the third party was there on the challan, his PAN number was there, so it was easy for the bank. Actually, I don't know what is the legal status of the bank. If at all bank accepts this amount in excess of rupees 50,000 from third party without his signature, without his PAN. So what is the bank's liability in case the depositor comes to the bank and he makes a claim that I don't know about it and the bank is responsible for the consequences? In that case, what is going to happen? I don't know, because this case is not tested. So what I feel, wherever these type of challenge are there, it is better on our part, it is safe on our part to mention that, at least a general comment, in case cash deposit of rupees 50,000 or more is there the PAN of the third party has not been taken. Because if you see the challan, the signature on that particular challan is not legible or not understandable. He put some marks because some mark is his signature. So that particular aspect needs to be seen. Now the last point, reconciliation of daily physical vouchers and the total number for the system authorized signature. Actually, this is the foremost important point in my opinion. And wherever we are doing audit, we are either getting this type of reconciliation or we are qualifying on this particular aspect. Let me explain you this thing. What happens in nowadays, because earlier, what was the system? If any voucher is submitted for payment, that voucher was given to one person. He used to record it in the cashier's scroll. He used to give him the token. Then that voucher used to go to the officer's scroll. He used to verify that voucher. And after his authorization, that authorized voucher used to go to the cashier. Cashier used to pay that amount, getting the token. So here, that particular voucher was authorized. That is one thing. And then again, there existed a voucher. Now, that particular, when this Taylor system is coming to operation, now the ball is kept in the court of the cashier, because he gets the voucher or check, he verifies the signature himself with the data in the system, and he makes the payment. Okay, that is okay. So here, error in his judgment, that also I understand. But what happens if the cashier himself is a fraud? In one of the branches where we are auditing, so there actually that branch manager, he required certain money. So what he did, he knew that a particular depositor is there. He is settled in USA and he is not coming frequently to the bank. So he debited his account with amount of 25,000 rupees, because that was the limit of Taylor that time, and he withdrew that 25,000. So for his withdrawal of 25,000, there was no voucher at all. And in the bank, there is no system of verifying whether there is any voucher for every payment. There are two cases. When there is a voucher, whether there is a payment, and when there is a payment, there is a voucher. If there is a voucher and payment is not made, I understand, because it is again erring on the safer side. But what happens if somebody takes out that amount without physical voucher? In this particular case, unfortunately for that cashier, that person came back from US and he came to the bank and he asked, who has withdrawn this 25,000 from my account? He asked the cashier. Somehow that cashier had excellent relations with the customer, so they used to ask him only, because always they had to deal with him only, because he was the person taking the cash, he was there for quite a long time. So again, here the physical rotation of employees that comes into picture. If one person is settled at one place, he can take advantage of this. So that A asked him, how this debit has been, that amount has been debited to my fee. This person knew that he was caught, but again he said, sir, please wait, I'll just verify. Then what he did, he knew another person, B. He knew he was in Dubai for quite a long time. He is not going to come. So he said, somehow that amount was wrongly debited to your account. It was related to B. So he made again a transfer entry, debiting B's account and crediting A's account. Again, for this particular transaction, there was no voucher. And unfortunately, again, that third person came. And this time, this person, this cashier was not there. And when the third person was there, this cashier was caught. So how to verify this thing? Here again, what is the responsibility of the concurrent auditor? You will say, when there was no voucher, what I will be verifying? But it is not the thing. The concurrent audit is to ensure whether there is any control. And here, that particular control was missing on the physical voucher. So here, what we have done, we have asked whatever branches we are auditing concurrently, there we have asked them to follow one particular system that, as you know, every day, all the daily vouchers, those are punched, they are stitched in one particular bundle. So we asked them to verify, to count the physical vouchers, mention that physical number on the top of the bundle. Then you go through the system, then you have a hashed total of how many vouchers were processed in the system during the day. Suppose the vouchers processed in the system were 100. And against that, if there are 90 physical vouchers, so whether there is fraud for 10, no, it can't be, because there are certain system vouchers, system entries like charging of interest, crediting of interest, and debiting of interest. If those things are there, those are also counted as a number of entries in the computer system. But for that, there is no practice of preparing any physical voucher for that. It will be unnecessary one. So that is not there. So on the face of that bundle, that manager puts in, there are 100 system vouchers, 10 are 100 vouchers in the system for that particular day. There are 10 system vouchers for which there cannot be any physical things. So remaining vouchers are 90, and physical vouchers counted by me are 90, and he signs on that. So our people, they verify by test check all those bundles. But when that particular reconciliation is there, at least you know that this type of fraud is not taking place. And wherever this particular system is not followed, we are mentioning in general specific remark that this reconciliation is not there. So as such, we disclaim our responsibility that for every payment, whether there is any voucher or not. So that's why, in my opinion, these challans and daily vouchers, as I said, it's a minor item or minor area of verification, but it is of a vital importance. Then second thing is balance sheet items. Now, generally, what happens is whenever we are verifying again deposits, loans, and all those things, we are verifying. Then profit and loss account, income leakage, because that is the area where everybody knows what is to be done. But here, review of all balance sheet items and outstanding entries in nominal account. Again, generally, a shortcut is taken here while carrying out the concurrent audit. That balance sheet, what are the items outstanding at the end of the month, those are verified. Then statistical analysis is given, or generally this thing is mentioned. There are no long pending items in this. Okay, there are no long pending items in this. That is okay. But we will come to another point. There are certain sensitive accounts, that is suspense, sundry, and interbank accounts. Here, again, we are verifying at the fag end of the month. In statutory audit, we verify at the fag end of the year. In concurrent audit, generally it is the policy of the auditor to verify at the fag end of the listing to see whether there are any long pending items. If there are no long pending items, just go ahead. But if there are certain things, what would have happened throughout the month or during the intervening period. So how you are going to control that? So what type of entries can be there? Suppose certain amount is taken out, I'm saying taken out by the bank staff only by debiting to suspense or sundry account. So if you debit that amount on say first week of January, and they know that concurrent audit is verifying this particular item at the fag end of the month, so they take care that this particular item is cleared before or in the last week of January. So for the intervening period, bank funds are utilized. I come across certain things like this in our concurrent audit of various years. So if that particular thing is happened, so somebody is using bank money without entries, without interest, and without knowledge of anybody. So how it is to be verified? Here, again, suppose suspense is the area which will be verified by something. So I go for the credit items. Because if you see in cooperative banks, those items are separately appearing in the balance sheet separately. But in case of national banks, those are covered under current deposits, that is CD miscellaneous. So it is difficult to verify those accounts, what type of entries have been made there. Again, their review of follow-up entries pending reversal. Because earlier, here I will give you one example. Earlier there was one system. Now with this core banking system in CBS, that particular thing is not there. But earlier there was one item that inward remittance. So that inward remittance, actually the entry should have been of credit first, and then for clearing that entry, there will be a debit in that account, and now it is to be reversed. So once I told my assistant, you just verify that inland remittance, whether there is any debit first, and if at all credit is happening there. So actually, it was found that somebody was playing with that. So here, those things are to be found out, because again, bank's money being utilized by staff without authorization, without interest, that is a unique item. So what actually should be done? Here that question of transaction audit comes. So what should be done in this particular case? Instead of going through the list of all these items at the fag end and verifying the age-wise analysis, I will tell you one thing. Age-wise analysis is the job of clerk. It is not a job of the auditor. So where our competence lies? Why at all? Because we are carrying out the audit of various other entities. And what we do there? There we are doing transaction audit. But why not in bank? We carry out ledger scrutiny in case of companies, in case of proprietorship concerns, private limited companies. Then why not in case of banks? So it is my suggestion that every month, you take out the list of all the sensitive accounts and all the CD miscellaneous accounts, and just go through those accounts thoroughly, verify each and every entry, and see the genuineness of that. For that particular thing, you will have to understand what is the procedure and what is this account particularly used for. So what I will say is that first, you have a list before you start any audit of any concurrent bank. Have a list of all those sensitive accounts and all that CD miscellaneous account. Then prepare one list, that is creditors or whatever they are appearing in CD miscellaneous, credit items, and again suspense. And you just make a list of all items, asking the bank manager for what they are used. Like suspense, what type of entries you are debiting in suspense? Suppose advance is given for expenses. Where you are debiting? I am debiting in suspense. You write down. If suspense is used for this, then what is sundry? Sundry is given for staff for certain miscellaneous day-to-day expenditure. Okay, write it there. Then what is anamat? It is in CD miscellaneous. For what it is used? It is for excess cash received. Okay, what is there? So you just go through that, because again, and then you make a master list of that so that it is useful for the person who is coming throughout the year for audit. And then you verify those particular accounts where there are entries. And here you apply your mind, whether there is a debit earlier, wherever the debit earlier was there, whether really it is there, whether in credit account there is first debit and then credit, you see that. And each every transaction, nature of the transaction you verify. And why that particular thing is there, that you verify. Again, if you just see, there can be certain transfer entries for debit from these accounts. So it is my suggestion to that, don't restrict your verification to the ledger scrutiny only, but you just go through that particular voucher also. You get hold of that voucher and see who has signed it. who has signed it. Because the person who is handling the sundry, who is handling the suspense, who is handling the CD. CD means current deposit. That CD means the CD account, who is handling, if at all only he is playing with that. No, it should not be there. These are really sensitive accounts. And what I said was fraud prone areas. This is the foremost fraud prone areas. Because frauds in banks, everybody talks about it, how the borrower received, how there was a diversion of funds, everything, everybody talks about this. But all these balance sheet items, that is the real fraud prone area, because whatever frauds I have come across, 90% of that, those are through balance sheet items only. So you have to be very, very particular of this. And then again, there are certain entries passed, which are reversed. So don't bother whether one particular entry is passed, reverse. You just go through the root cause of the entry and you specifically comment on the entries. Because it is not something extra what we are doing. It is the real thing what we are doing. It is the real thing what is needed. Actually, instead of responsibilities, I should have taken it to must do. But anyway, this is our responsibility, what I think. So that has to be there. Then we come to off-balance sheet items. What are the off-balance sheet items? That is LCs, letter of credits, bank guarantees, and all those things. Earlier, actually, bank guarantees, it was very easy to have a fraud in bank guarantees. Because bank guarantee, it is recorded through contra entry in the book. But suppose I don't record it. What do you do? The manager, suppose he issues one bank guarantee of certain amount without recording it in the bank. He doesn't take the bank guarantee commission. He gives it on the bank flat rate because that doesn't require any stamp and all. You just require a plain stamp. So he is giving the bank guarantee, and that bank guarantee you know only when that is in vogue. At the time of payment, then you will know it is not the bank guarantee issued by the bank. But again, it was a case against the bank because it was the bank's internal control, and there that doctrine of indoor management, it came into picture, and they said that bank manager has signed, so it was the duty of the bank to have proper internal controls, and the bank had to pay this bank guarantee. So to overcome this particular problem, RBI has now come out with a unique number. So every bank has to have a system of unique numbers, and whenever any bank guarantee is issued, that unique number should be allotted in the system, and not only in the system, because generally what happens I have seen, these are allotted in the system because people are very particular in taking care of the system, because it is a systematic fraud. But that particular unique number is not mentioned on BG. How you will know? You go through the bank guarantee, and if you come across any bank guarantee where unique number is not there, then you should mention that though the unique numbers are mentioned in the system, those are not there in the hard copy. So in that particular case, there is always a possibility there are certain hard copies which are issued without giving unique number. And again, just ensure that unique number is not ad hoc number. It is not like a CAPTCHA code. It has to be serially numbered. So you have to verify whether it is serially numbered. If that serial number is not there, then you have to ensure that why that particular thing was cancelled. If there is a bank guarantee, it is cancelled in between. You cannot give that unique number again. So it is to be cancelled. In GST also, you know, in GST return, we give that invoices cancelled. Like that, you verify whether that BG was really cancelled, whether the original copy is there in the bank record. LC is an area where anybody can talk for hours together. Here, as far as LCs are concerned, there many of the frauds, I will say 60% of the frauds of the bank, they have happened or they have taken place because of the bogus LCs. So, how to understand the bogus LCs? That is not an area that we can expect anybody to know in the concurrent audit. But at least what I would say is that whatever LCs are issued during this time, you just get hold of those LC copies and you just ensure what type of LCs are there. Suppose the buyer and seller, they are having the same address number, their bills are just similar, their telephone numbers are similar, their contact numbers are similar, their signing on that buyer and seller, they are similar, or you know, in particular LC, if I have taken in what type of business I am dealing in, and there is suppose some LC which is not related to at all to my type of business. Again, those type of LCs, I will say that you can't say it's a fraud, but at least it is an area where you can give a early warning signal that these type of things are happening. The bank should ensure because here there are certain things that we can't do anything, but at least we can communicate to the bank management that there is something where I feel this LC genuine or not. Always, earlier we used to say that Justice John Lynch say, auditor is a watchdog, not a blood dog. So that was the principle we were following earlier. But now, at least in concurrent audit and all, you have to be a bit suspicious also. But while being suspicious, you cannot just make an allegation that it is a fraud. But while writing your report, be very specific. You mention that this particular thing is there. So it is a discrepancy. So it is to be left to the reader or the bank authority to understand whether really there is any risk, because our responsibility here is to bring certain things to the notice of the senior management or to RBI, because RBI also goes through this concurrent audit report. So statutory auditor also goes through this concurrent audit report. So only that is our duty. So restrict ourselves to that, but don't fail in reporting all these things. So balance sheet items and off balance sheet items, yes, you have to give utmost importance to these items. So that's why I spent so much time on these two areas. Now, coming back to deposit accounts, here you must have known what is the KYC, what is the eKYC, what is the CKYC. So everything you know. Earlier there was only KYC. Afterwards there was the eKYC, that is linking of your Aadhaar card with your account. So that gives you your eKYC. But now there is a concept of CKYC. So CKYC is issued by a totally different authority, separate independent authority. And if you get your KYC, CKYC at any financial institutions, for another institution, you need not give your other KYC. You can just mention your CKYC. So just see, CKYC is not mandatory. It is not made mandatory by the RBI, but now slowly they are going towards that. But in many cases, in many banks, they have made it mandatory. So just ensure that bank policy, whether they have made CKYC mandatory. So if that is the circular of the bank, just ensure that everywhere that CKYC is there, and if not, just comment on that. Now in deposit account, what we should verify? That is the abnormal transactions, that is heavy deposits and immediate withdrawals or heavy withdrawals. All those things we have to be verified. That some bankers, they generally ask you that particular person, he is paying deposit in his own account and he is withdrawing from his own account. So how at all you are concerned? There you have to tell him it is a specifically PMLA guidelines, according to which whether it is a money laundering. And what is money laundering? If they ask you what is money laundering, you can tell them the RBI has not specified, they have not given the norm, but they have asked the banks to specify their own norms for anti-money laundering or what is the money laundering. So you can ask the bank, if somebody asks you why you are concerned, you can ask them what are your norms for money laundering, whether you have set any limits, whether you have given any particular types of transactions, norms, where you say this is the money laundering and where we will ensure. Because in some of the cases, even if you are having, even I'm as a chartered accountant, I'm having my current account. So sometimes I get a check of fees if some client is paying in lump sum. Sometimes they ask you, what is this amount for? This is the extra precaution that bank is taking. Some banks for large amount, they say from where it has come, or at least they ask you to write in challans. Like I will tell you the case of Saraswat Bank. They are asking you to mention the purpose or purpose of getting the particular check. So they did not ask you. And again, for them, it's a very clear thing. If somebody asks them, they can mention the depositor has communicated in writing that this deposit is for this particular thing and he is taking care of. So the ball lies in the court of the depositor, not with the bank. But here, we have to mention, we have to see that just bank says we don't want to look into this. Again, we are the safeguarders for those banks. So we have to ensure that bank is doing their duty, not only as a fraud, but as a nation building also, that will come later. Then another point where I feel it should be seen is scrutiny of staff deposit accounts. Staff deposit accounts, you have to get a list of staff, not only of this branch, but of the entire bank, whosoever is having the account with this particular branch. Because everybody knows that you are verifying the staff deposit account. You are going to A branch. So A branch employees will open their account in B branch. B branch employees will open account there in C branch. So here how to do. So you can get a list from the bank, or you may know that because always the staff, they are getting a higher rate of interest. So it is identifiable from the system that which are the staff record accounts. And I will suggest that every month you have a scrutiny of staff record accounts. You just verify where are the credits from and what are the debits. Credits. Generally, the staff account, staff saving account or staff current account is used for credit of salary. But if at all there are heavy cash deposits or if there are any checks, heavy deposits, then the bank has got a right, or rather they should ask the staff, particular staff, to give explanation for that particular thing. Sometimes you may see that certain transactions are from the borrower's account or two borrower's accounts are appearing. In our one of the branches, it happened like this. When we were verifying the staff deposit account, there were certain transactions of cash, though minor every time, say 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, something like that. That amount was being transferred from that person's saving account to the loan accounts of various borrowers. So when we asked him what you are doing, whether you have taken that loan and whether you are repaying that, because it is a suspicious transaction. So that manager said it is a recovery account and I have to recover that particular money. So that person, he said that he doesn't have the banking facility, he is banking with us, but he doesn't want to come to bank and he doesn't have time to. And for this amount, I cannot send my recovery clerk or recovery officer there to collect that amount every time. So they are sending that amount to the bank on my GPay account, because bank doesn't have a GPay account. So they are sending that on my GPay account. And from that, I am paying this amount to the respective account. In my opinion, it is a very serious lacuna. Bank should not allow such type of things, because taking it in individual names, because here you don't have any control. And again, what I feel is that once you accept this transaction, once the bank accepts this particular transaction, if that amount was paid to the GPay account of that staff, and then that staff transfers that bank account, first, once you accept this particular thing, then it happens that that manager is an agent of the bank. It is a legal, and if afterwards, particular any amount, if any person says that I have paid that amount by GPay to that particular person, which he didn't deposit into bank account, he is least concerned. So bank might be responsible for all these things. So here you have to be very, very specific. So this staff deposit accounts needs to be scrutinized in detail, and there should not be any entry in that. If at all, suppose that staff is having an account in another bank, and if he is doing something from there, at least we are not concerned, because we are concerned auditors. We are restricting ourselves to this branch and to the staff deposit account which we are having here. But this is again, though it is thought of a very minor item, it has got a lot of this thing, because in many banks we have found out, and actually in one case we gave a separate special report on the staff deposit account. Then third area is the most fraud-prone area, that is inoperative or dormant accounts. You know what is inoperative, what is dormant. There are no transactions afterwards. So here you have to see that what are the inoperative dormant accounts, whether they have been identified separately. Then if they are activated, there are two things in that. How they are activated. They cannot be activated, reactivated unless fresh KYC is taken from them. So again, I bifurcated in two areas where this fresh KYC is taken, then the accounts are made operative. Okay. You have verified here. You will be asking if this particular dormant account has been made operative this month. So where are the KYC documents? So they will be providing you KYC documents. Okay, that's fine. So I feel again transaction, our responsibility, our whatever is there. So here you just ask them what happened to the KYC documents 3 months ago taken while making one particular inoperative account operative. Why I am telling you? Because practically those KYC documents you won't find it again. Those are filed in some inoperative dormant account file or somewhere else, they are misplaced or something like that. So again, when you are saying you have verified, and if somebody else, say RBI comes or regulator comes, and he doesn't get the documents, then what happens? Okay, it's the bank's responsibility, but in between, you are there, you are saying I have verified. So whether here you have verified, what is the proof we are having? We cannot have the photocopies of the documents with us, no? Because our office is again very small as compared to bank. We cannot keep all those documents with us. So here you should verify whether it is there, and if not, you mention in your report somewhere, these documents whenever taken, because that is a very important document, because generally frauds happen in inoperative or dormant accounts, certain amounts come there and they go out, that heavy deposits and immediate withdrawals. Again, you have to see this particular abnormal transaction in case of inoperative or dormant accounts only. Not only, also, because these accounts were dormant for quite a long time, 2-3 years, nothing happened there, and all of a sudden that person wakes up, he activates that account, and after activating, there are certain heavy deposits, some amount, and immediate withdrawals, because those are not kept there. So why? So that means he is having some operating account, and certain transactions which he doesn't want to disclose are routed through this particular account, because nobody knows this. Because this account was inoperative, it is not anywhere. And here also, again, that Aadhaar is not linked with this account. So even now, whatever AIS linked with Aadhaar, you get the information in income tax return or income tax site. These many transactions were there. These transactions will not be appearing. You'll ask me whether it is our duty to report on that. Yes, yes. Because here what we are doing is the safety of whatever RBI feels. Whatever we are doing, that we are doing according to the whatever was in the mind of the lawmaker, that is RBI, whatever they wanted. So these inoperative dormant accounts, how it was activated, there are the KYC documents kept, not for this month, but for earlier months also. And again, what are the heavy deposits and immediate withdrawals, or only heavy deposits? Somebody is dumping money here. He is not withdrawing. He is dumping money, but this account is not disclosed. So, and again, you may say it may come in CTR and STR. That might not be. He may be depositing 1 lakh rupees every time, 50,000, less than 50,000 every time. So, or he may be giving a PAN in that deposit more than 50,000, but less than the 5 lakh rupees where CTR won't be there. But here, it will be our duty to verify these inoperative accounts and to mention about the activities. Then, again, checking of accounts master data. That is from the viewpoint of income leakage, because generally whatever master data is there, that we verify at the time of KYC also. But here, what I'm talking is only about the privileged customers. Because in many cases, for privileged customers, there are certain conditions or there are certain privileges given to them, like DD will be given at no cost, then bank charges will not be there, SMS service will be free, your these charges will not be charged, your processing charges will be low. So whatever is there, and actually now it is not left to the manual, everything comes through the system. So it is essential for the bank to fill in the account master data for these type of terms. So I feel that whatever privileged customers are there, you please ascertain those privileged customers and then get hold of their master data and you verify with the specific sanctions of the respective authorities whether whatever concessions have been given are given with the proper authorities or proper sanctions. Okay. Now, loans and advances. Actually, it's not sufficient time, so I'll just go through this thing. Because on loans and advances, you are doing it every time. Everybody has talked about that. But here, I want to say certain things where I want to give specific thrust on that. On those areas, I will cover. First is credit appraisal. I said that always banks are in the appointment letter, they are mentioning that you start your audit from the sanctioning part. So whatever has been sanctioned, you verify the document, you verify whether sanctioned terms are completed or not. But again, I will say that credit appraisal is important. Whether to report it or not, that is your this thing. But again, suppose there was one proposal for hotel. It has been sanctioned. While sanctioning, they have taken a project report. So that project report, apparently you know from your experience that that project report is not viable. Certain income has been taken, projected income has been taken too high. Or again, if you see who are the persons behind that. So none of the promoters is from the hotel industry. They don't have any experience. They are not given the details of the person who is handling that hotel, and it's a big proposal. So in that particular case, I feel that it is an early warning because that account may turn out to be a failure. Those security would be there because that person who is not aware of the business is carrying out the business. So business risks are there. So whatever risk is there, so for that, whatever your comments on credit appraisal there, I feel in certain selected cases where you feel there can be a risk afterwards should be mentioned. Then another part is priority. Priority is the area of priority as far as RBI is concerned, because now they are giving certain targets to all the banks, and if they fail to complete those targets, then they are asking the banks to purchase certain bonds of 2% interest, 3% interest. So naturally, it is the priority of the banks to show that many of the advances are under priority. While all this priority classification is done at the time of sanction of loans and while filling the master data itself. But here, I will suggest you that please go through the priority circulars. So what are they? Because priority is not the only one area, because there are so many things in that. Because what happens, I will tell you, it goes on the purpose at the time of sanction. Like it is a famous case in national banks that whenever you verify any gold loan, the purpose is agriculture. Agriculture is a priority, so every gold loan is taken as a priority. But here, how you are going to verify whether that gold loan is utilized for that? Because for gold loan, there is no end use. In other cases, there is an end use, so you can verify whether it has been used for that particular purpose. But here, in case of gold loan, there is no priority. So here, at least, what I would suggest, in gold loans, if at all they have mentioned that it is for agricultural purposes, because it is a peculiar problem in all the nationalized banks. So you just ask for whether there is any Satbara or 712 extract or property extract, because in Maharashtra it is called Satbara or 712. So similar whatever property extract or proof of owning that particular, at least a piece of agricultural land should be there. I am not asking they should be doing it agriculture or not, at least for our security, because while we are allowing them to classify it under priority, any gold loan, that should be there. Then I will say you just go through all the circulars and you should be aware of the various limits. Because again, housing and house repairs, I'll give a small example, that is a priority, but up to what limit? Housing loans up to 35 lakhs, that is the priority, and house repairs up to 10 lakhs, that is the priority. Here what happens, all these two loans are generally classified under one head, that is housing loans. But in housing loans, you have to be very specific that if at all there is any housing repairs loan more than 10 lakhs, but less than 35 lakhs, the bank, whether it has been taken to priority or not. Then there are certain loans for SHG, that is self-help group, for common community problems, common utilities, that is to be given. In one case, I've seen that one bank had sanctioned one loan for theatre, cinema theatre. So whether it is a really common utility in the public interest, people are watching, that is okay. That is for public entertainment, but whether it can be a priority. So these particular things, I'm just giving you a few examples. So that has to be seen. Again, you see in case of major loans, the priority is mentioned on the list of the order object they are mentioned. And I will suggest you that in any case, when you are verifying the advances, you are verifying the end use. That is absolutely, you are doing it in every case. Because unless end use is done, RBI is very specific, they are commenting heavily if the end use is not followed. So that end use you are following. Suppose I am telling you, if at all you are having any query or any observation that the particular loan has not been used for the purpose for which it is sanctioned, be specific that mentioning that in this case, the classification should also be changed from priority. This is something new because we are doing that, because always you comment on end use, verification of priority and verification of end use. Though these are two different things, those are done by the same person. So I feel they should be interlinked and there should be qualified in your report. Then transactions in cash credit accounts, that is transfers. So in cash credit accounts, you should verify the cash credit accounts, you should go through the ledger account. But suppose there are hundreds of cash credit accounts in a bank. So verifying each and every transaction may not be possible. Here, you should have substantive taking. That is with test check. But how you will have that? So you can have a report of transactions in turnover report in cash credit accounts. Again, where there is absolutely no turnover, just mention that in your report that there is absolutely no turnover. So this is a likely NPA account. In 1 month particularly, there are no transactions. That means there are no credits, there are no debits. And again, whether the interest has really been used or there are very small transactions just to cover the interest. That will be IRAC norms. On that, I'm not going to talk at all. But all those cases can be verified from the turnover report. And then again, where there are heavy transactions, I will suggest that you go through those particular ledger accounts and specifically go through the transfers. There are sister concern transfers or some accounts, so that you verify. And sometimes I have seen the bank is playing in this. They are transferring certain amounts from cash credit account of one person to another his current account, or to another person's cash credit account. Suppose a wife and husband, or two brothers, they are having two different cash credit accounts. And in one case, if there is a over, then the bank sometimes, with the knowledge of the borrower, of course, they transfer that particular entry. But here, you will have to ensure that all such transfer vouchers are really signed by the borrower. It should be with the explicit consent of the borrower. So whether these type of transfers are there, then in transactions in cash credit account, see whether there are any cash transactions, heavy cash transactions. As I said, if at all he is a petrol pump wala, whether he is a retail trader, so there can be some receipts in cash, but payments in cash, why? So you will have to ensure that particular thing. And again, incidentally, you can verify whether bank has deducted tax on heavy cash transactions for one particular person. Then another thing is, again, whatever I said, recoveries in loan accounts or transfer to and from cash credit account must be supported by debit challenge signed by the borrower. Many times they tell you कि वो जो मेरा टर्म लोन का इंस्टॉलमेंट है ना, वो मेरे कैश अकाउंट से लेना. So based on this faith and whatever relations the branch manager has with the borrower, so those entries are passed every month. They don't give ECS. Huh? I'm not talking about ECS. If at all there is an ECS given, then it is the bank's purview whether to follow that ECS, because the cash limit is it is over, then that ECS will not work. So what is to be done in that case? Whether that ECS will be bounced, something like that. But other than that, if at all only on oral instructions, if somebody is transferring from cash credit to term loans, then it should be reported that all the debit terms are not signed by the borrower. Because I've seen in one case, if this type of entries were made, this type of transfers were made, and when one particular account became NPA, that cash credit, that time he said, you recovered my term loan account by debiting to cash credit account. It was not for my business purpose. So I totally don't agree with this. So here you should be very particular in verifying the debit charges. Then stock statements. Stock statements, everybody talks about that. But what happens if stock statements are not there, penal interests are prescribed. Those are that is charged according to the system. And every time the person enters stock statements in the system. But here, what I will suggest that many times it is a tendency to record it. Once that fellow gives the ring to the borrower, he says, "Arey, I bhej deta." So that particular entry is made in the account so as to avoid the penalty, and the actual stock statement is issued 3-4 days a week after. Here you should insist for inward receipt date, whether inward receipt date system is there, whether they have got an inward register. Suppose they are just putting the inward date on the stock statement. By test check, you can verify whether it matches with the basic inward register of the bank, if at all they are maintaining. Then, secondly, whether analytical view of statements, whether those statements are received by the, whether they are being analytically viewed by the bank. How do you understand that? You go through those statements analytically. Like if you take a case, the last time stock, it is the same stock here, there is no movement, so at all it is shown. WIP is the same. Then you have to ascertain whether that WIP was in respect of particular order, whether that order has been cancelled. So whether that particular stock, it is to be included in the inventory or not, because your entire DP is dependent on the stock statements and data statements. So stock and data statement, whether they are in proper format, whether they have been analyzed in this way that again you know that if whatever balance sheet has been submitted, whether in that month the balance has a stock as per your statement and a stock as per the balance sheet submitted afterward. It will be a back review, but you review that thing when you receive the final accounts. Say I'm saying January. So in January, if the stock of March is mentioned, you just go through the stock statement of March and you can verify that. What you can do, if there is a major variation, then you can tell them, Arey Baba, if there is a major variation, so I apply that particular thing, I extrapolate that variation to this, and then this month's stock would be less to that extent, and whether TP would be there. So all these type of things, this is just, I'm telling you, what I'm telling you is that use your imagination. It's a very creative audit, concurrent audit, I will tell you. It's not boring. Every time you can find out something different. Then final accounts, we have talked. Then stock audit report, wherever stock audit reports have been prescribed, so every time we just ensure those stock audit reports have been received. But whether again they have been seen by somebody, I have seen sometimes, because what happens that stock audit, whenever there is stock audit, there are two types of stock audit people are doing. One, they are mentioning, I could not verify the record. Arey Baba, if you are not verified the record, why you are not verified? He said the record was not ready, stock was not compiled, and something like that. So on that basis, we can ask the bank why at all this account is not a. It is a very risky area, not risk prone. It is a risky area because there is no stock, there is no record kept. So how the bank is ascertaining the DP? So on the basis of stock audit report, we can mention that particular thing, and we can mention that it is a probable NP account or rather a NP account. If at all this particular thing is persisting, then it will be an NP account because there is no stock record. So there may not be any stock. And in the absence of any stock statement, if I don't know on the basis of which the stock statement is given, then I have got a genuine right to suspect that the original stock audit report. Secondly, in stock audit reports, sometimes the stock auditors are very enthusiastic and they go on mentioning that this particular account is an NPA. Actually, that is not their purview. But many a times I've seen that the stock auditors, they write that this is an NPA account. Here, actually, there is a problem with life. If you are going through the stock audit report, if that person is saying it is an NPA account and you are not saying NPA account because technically you feel it is not an NPA account, then it is actually contradiction. So here you should ask the branch manager to talk to the stock auditor, get the stock auditor report corrected. I'm saying corrected, not changed. Convince him that this is not an NPA account and get it corrected, or else you mention in your report that this account technically, though we feel it is not an NPA, the stock auditor has mentioned that account as NPA. So there actually our responsibility ends. Okay, now we come to the must-do list. Here, these two things and this thing, in any case, it is 12:30, but still I will cover these areas. It is understanding of system of physical verification. Here, security alarm verification system. So always whenever we go, we ring the alarm, we see that that alarm is working. Every time we see that. But again, have you understood where are the alarms are located? Because many times I have seen that once I ask him, "Arey mujhe wo alarm dekhna hai baja ke." So he is saying, "Arey wo button on karo." So that means that button is not on. So what is the real purpose of alarm? So that is to be commented. Then again, where it is located? It should be located in the manager's cabin as well as cashier's cabin. So where it is there, whether it is apparently visible, that has to be seen. Then whether it is in working condition, that we are seeing by putting on the alarm. But again, my question is that, okay, if the alarm is sounding, what happens? Who gets intimated? Generally, the nearest police station and the bank manager and the higher authorities, they are intimated through system that this particular alarm has sounded. But when every time when you are seeing that, whether those persons are communicated. So for that, whether you have understood what is the time limit. I asked one fellow, he said 30 seconds is the time limit that you put on the alarm and you close it in within 30 seconds. Then this particular intimation doesn't go because it is a test here. So you first understand, because it was a thing told to me by some bank wala. You verify with the person where you are going, how much time it takes to that. And again, once actually what happened, I said I want to see for a longer period. So police station was informed. We are verifying this particular thing. So please don't get alarmed. But that manager was sitting before us. When we put on that alarm for more than 1 minute, the manager didn't get a phone call. Then whether that system was working, if not, what is the use of bank alarm? So real purpose of bank alarm, whether it is being served, that we have to see. That is the real purpose of our concurrent audit in this particular thing. So very small thing, but very important. And then what are the bet money decoy notes? Do you know what is bet money and decoy notes? Because in many cases, when I ask the people, even my people, they don't know that. You might be knowing. It's a very good thing, but I will tell you. Bet money or decoy notes is a combination of certain notes in your possession, in the possession of the bank. Like, I'll give you one example. 2 notes of 2,000 rupees, 5 notes of 500 rupees, 10 notes of 100 rupees, whatever combination you have. And all those numbers are recorded on one piece of paper. So that is the bet money. It is kept in the safe. So suppose there is some, what do you call it? Some dacoit, उसमें डाका पड़ता है. So if at all somebody takes that money together, and when they start using that particular thing, so those note numbers are communicated all over by RBI. If these notes are in the circulation, please communicate. And so that is the procedure. So that is called bet money and decoy. Here, actually, there are so many funny things in this that I want to discuss with you. What is there? If bet money and decoy notes, it should not be kept in a separate envelope. Because if you put it in a separate envelope, then absolutely there is no use of it. Because that person will also know that these are the decoy notes, and he will just throw away those notes or burn them out, and then the real purpose will not be served. Those are to be kept along with the normal cash. But here, the cashier has to be very particular that these notes, though kept along with the proper cash, they are not circulated by him while allowing the payments. Again, the paper where this particular thing is written, all those numbers are written, where it is put, it should not be kept in the safe itself where the cash is there, because that will be very handy for the dacoits. So here that bet money and decoy notes, what are the bet money and decoy notes, that you have to understand. Then you just see this procedure, whether that bet money and decoy note, whatever they are mentioned, whether it is there in the safe. Again, whatever I said, they should not be in the same envelope or a separate envelope. Whether that is there, again the paper where it is put with the manager, because if it is with the cashier, it can again go back to that fellow. So, but he should know what are the bet notes. So whether this particular procedure has been followed, and more than that, afterwards, when that particular bet money or decoy notes, they have been changed, because you cannot keep them forever, because once everybody knows that thing, so there should be a time limit. So you just go through the system of the bank when they are changing that bet money, whether they have got a system of bet money, and what is the system of keeping them in a store. Then CCTV. Then you may be knowing that CCTV is working. So whenever we go, we see whether CCTV is working. That branch manager calls you in his cabin and he shows you all that thing. Yes, this is working, this is working. But you should verify what is the time period for which these particular aspects, recording is kept. If it is not kept for a substantial period, so actually when you will be requiring them, whether that would be available that time. Then these are the actually must-do list. It is RBI, actually they have issued customer service guidelines. So you have to ensure that whether those guidelines have been followed, because that is RBI's requirement, or RBI apna anna lata hai, because they have given us this concurrent audit assignment. So we have to fulfill their wishes. So isme kya aata hai? First, may I help you counter? That inquiry should be at the entry point of banking hall, except very small branches. Then there should be complaint or suggestion box. Here again, I will tell you one practical thing. Where is that complaint suggestion box? Why it is kept separately? Because somebody wants to send a complaint without name. That is also allowed. But why he doesn't want to know? Because he doesn't want to spoil his relations, or he doesn't want to get panga with the branch manager. But in that particular case, where that complaint or suggestion box is kept, if it is kept straightway under a CCTV, whether anybody will go and put his complaint in the suggestion box, so it should be outside the area of the CCTV. So whether that such complaint or suggestion box is there, whether there is a complaint box with perforation. Perforation means if somebody comes to you, he writes a complaint, you have to write his complaint, give a copy to him, and maintain a copy of that, and you have to send it to your higher authority, because every time you have to report how many complaints are pending and what action has been taken. And again, separately, there should be a complaint form. These are three different things: complaint or suggestion box, complaint books with perforation, and complaint form. Complaint form should be available to him if at all he wants to complain directly to authorities. Then comprehensive notice board, uska size bhi diya hai RBI ne, 2 by 2 feet. So that should be there. On that, all these things should be noticed, recorded. Then display of timeline for credit decisions. That is also to be displayed. How much time you take for allowing the credit once that application is received. Again, in that there is again one more point. In now lockers, RBI is coming very heavily on the lockers. So in that display, now they are included what are the lockers which are available, which are the vacant lockers, and what is the waiting list number, if at all there is any. So all those things. So you have to just ensure that these things are there. And these things, if you verify once at the beginning of the year, then throughout the year you have to just ensure that nothing has been removed out of this. Then lockers, there are latest guidelines. That is a new locker agreement has been prescribed. That is to be there. Then whenever somebody operates locker, there should be a system of intimating him on email and SMS alert intimation. So we have to see whether the system is in there. Then again, embossing of identification codes of bank and branch on locker keys. That is a locker key which is given to the customer. Actually, earlier there were only locker keys. All the locker keys are similar, and many a times income tax department got it a problem. If they found some keys and he says, no, I don't have any locker anywhere. So where they will go? Whether they will go to each and every branch and each and every bank to find out whether this key fits. It will be just like Victoria number 203. उस मूवी के जैसा हो जाएगा. So now RBI has specified that you have to emboss identification codes of bank and branch on locker keys. So you just ensure that they have done in all the cases and nothing has remained to be done. Then issue of electronic access lockers. Now they are coming out with electronic access lockers where keys won't be there. But here, whether if at all such lockers are there, we have to ensure that whether there is any SOP which has been formulated. Then locker waiting list to be prepared by acknowledging all applications with waitlist numbers and all that is there. Now the very important area, that is exception reports, because always they are asking you whether exception reports are generated. We are answering yes or no. Please be very particular or please be cautious when you are mentioning that. What do you mean by generated? Generated means taken into Excel or printed. If they are printed, just see whether they have been verified by the bank branch staff by token of their signature. Even if they just make a signature without verification, then also okay, but at least whether they have been generated. If at all it is in Excel, how will you ensure that those have been verified by the bank branch? So while you are answering that generated, so that you must see whether really they are there and what you have done about it. What you have done about it means whether you have gone through the exception report. So I feel we should go through the exception report. Like now I'll talk about 2-3 reports here. One is DEF report. You know, after once a deposit is there or unclaimed amount is there, not deposit, any unclaimed amount for 10 years or more, it is to be sent to RBI under that DEF. So how to ascertain that DEF? So generally that DEF report is generated through the system. In that system, criteria is given whether this particular amount is outstanding for more than 10 years. So you go through that particular report and see whether the eligible amounts are sent for DEF. But here there is again one practical problem, which date they are giving. So while giving that date, whether that report covers earlier things also. Like if they are given this thing of 1st January, what are the 10 items covered? So whether it covers earlier items also which are not sent, or whether it is giving you report only for the month, that you have to see, and you have to ensure that nothing remains to be sent to date. Now, what are the exception reports? Exception reports are that which is given generally everything is fed into the system, and if at all you have to go beyond that particular thing, if certain operations are not to be allowed, but if they are to be allowed, the manager or anybody else, he has got the authority to allow them. While allowing, he has to give a specific marking in the system. So that particular marking, whatever they are giving. So on that, exception report gives you such cases where it is a deviation from the system. It can be in the changes in the interest application also, or security also. This is very serious in my opinion. So every month, whatever exception reports are there, I will advise you to go through each and every item, just read them. And whenever there is any specific operation allowed by the manager, then you can verify by test check. But where there is a change in interest application, like it tells you in so and so account, the interest has been changed from 9.3 to 8.2. In this particular case, I feel you should go through the account, you should go through that particular entry, and you should ensure why it has been done and whether it has been done under proper authority. because whatever you are saying there is no income leakage is dependent or subject to these changes in interest application. So, or security. Then changes in risk classification. Suppose every loan account, every deposit account, you have a risk classification. So that risk classification is done at the beginning. Then afterwards, suppose high risk is there and substantial recovery is done, then generally it is upgraded to low risk. But in that particular case, wherever there is any change in the risk classification, you just ensure that it has got a reason, it has got a valid reason, and it has got a valid authentication. Again, I will tell you one more thing reverse way. If at all you are verifying this particular thing and this risk classification is not changed at all throughout the year, then you ask them if where you are given low risk and if the operations in that account is tending towards NPA, or if there is a deposit account where there is a PMLA guidelines are there, substantial CTR, STR transactions are there. So where there, why at all you are not changed the risk classification? So this exception report is to be used both ways. Then PMLA, you know, in KYC also that fight against terrorism, financial intelligence unit, it has given list of terrorists. So that list is always paid in the system. And then any account, if you want to open any account with a similar name, then it gives you a pop-up, and that is to be cleared by the manager. Here, you can just, you will say how it is to be verified and why it is to be verified. It is to be verified because PMLA is the primary responsibility of verification by the concurrent auditors. So here actually you should see what was the list which popped up during the month and which was cleared by the manager. You can just go through that list, or you can have a test data and you can suggest any name and you can see whether that list is popped up or whether it works properly. So again, then it is a fight against money laundering, suspicious transactions. So you have to go through whether CTR, STR, they are filing properly. CTR is for the cash transactions above ₹5 lakhs of rupees, and STR is suspicious transactions report. Here there is a crux. Actually, what is suspicious? RBI has not given a specific definition on this. They have given a general list where there is a suspicious transaction, but they have asked the particular bank to have their own norms for determining suspicious transactions. So I will say through that you ascertain from the bank which you are auditing what are the suspicious transactions that they have specifically said and whether those have been followed. Okay. Then it is just audit and patriotism. It is just my ending. So whatever we are doing, it is not just as a duty towards our bank or it is just money earning for us. Whatever we are doing as a concurrent audit, that is anti-money laundering or that is combating financial terrorism, CFT and banks. We are helping the central government and RBI to fight against frauds or terrorist activities. So actually, we as a part of nation building, that is always our saying in the institute. So that we are doing by doing concurrent audit. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I took more time.
You still can take 5 minutes more if you want to speak something from your heart out.
No, it's all right.
Yes.
If somebody tell me.
Just a sec, sir. Just a sec.
Shall I close this? I will stop this sharing this.
Yes, sir. Sir, will we be able to receive your PowerPoint presentation?
Yeah, I will send it to you by email.
You can send it to the BOS.
And rather, what I will suggest, you can share it with all the participants.
Right, sir. Right, sir.
And if at all they have got any queries on that, my email ID is there or my phone number is there. They are always welcome because basically what I like, not only talking, I always like interaction.
Right, sir. Right, sir.
So whatever is not possible today, They can ask me anytime. I'm always open for discussion or whatever their queries are there. Ask them. My email ID and everything, contact details are there. I will send it by email immediately.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. Sir, the first point you covered that concurrent audit is basically what normally most of the professionals do. They visit at the end of the month and do most of the work. But now, since majority of the banks are coming into online mode of reporting, and it is required that the partner of the firm visits at least once a week and the students visit on a daily basis. Don't you think this concurrent audit of bank is a great step which has kept our economy poised and going? Otherwise, had concurrent audit not been there, much of the transactions would have gone unreported, unseen, unchecked.
Yes.
And that is what it is keeping our economy alive. We are in a much better health. As you see, like US is in a recession, EU is in recession, other Asian countries are in recession, but we are much better off.
Yeah. But actually, I will tell you one thing. Yogesh.
Yes, sir.
Practically speaking, sometimes because my wife is a regional council member. So people are always Ruta Chitade. So always people complain to her on this. So I am stating it to you. Concurrent audit, it really helps. So that's why my last this thing is there. It is a patriotism.
Yes.
I'm saying it's a step towards nation building. But what happens, basically, वो जहाँ बोलते हैं ना कि partner should visit every month, every week, whether it is feasible in the fees, that everybody has to see.
Yes.
Because that's a problem actually. Because here what happens, now again banks are going for the cutting of their expenses. As you know, for RBI also, they are saying you reduce the number of branches under audit, or you give it to only big fours or something like that. Not big four, but only to certain firms or something like that. On that background, if that whether that remuneration fits in whatever efforts put in by the, even if we take into consideration the fee scale given by the institute, whether it would be sufficient if the partner goes there every week. What I feel is that monitoring by the partner every time, because what we do, generally we have talked to the banks, it is not possible for me to come there every week. I am going there for finalization of the report. That is okay, but my person whosoever is there. So we are having a system of reporting on concurrent basis, not at the end of the thing. So generally that control can be there.
Yes, sir. And sir, probably the coverage of concurrent audit has gone tremendously. We are covering most and the major part of it. It is just because of the awareness of information technology. The students, they are so very well aware of their responsibilities. They are so very well aware of the tools that are available to them, and Excel they are using for their benefit. Probably we are being able to do it in a much better way.
Yes. Because earlier when we were doing it manually, it was impossible. And now again, as I said, after training in that software, so I will tell you, my students or my assistants, they are far better in that system than me. Because once I go there for finalization, I just ask them, ye kaisa aaya? So he says, sir, wait a minute, I will give you. That report is available at the tip of his finger. So that thing is there. And I think somebody was asking about the coverage.
Sir, coverage like? I mean to say the scope of work and the area we are covering. Probably we are covering the most part of it, and in the most what you can say, the right kind of attitude and
yeah, that's true.
Sir, there is one question. Can the auditor report suspicious transactions directly to FIU?
FIU, I don't think so. No. I think you'll be. What he says, if at all there is any suspicious transaction, whether directly he can report to FIU? No. Because generally, here in this particular case, you have to report it to the zonal manager. You have to report it separately by a separate report. He's stating that these are the suspicious transactions. Because again, you see, here you are not coming to the conclusion. Because before reporting to FIU, there will have to be a forensic.
Yeah.
Concurrent is not an alternative to forensic. Concurrent is the alarm. It is the early warning signal, I'm saying. Yes. So I am signaling, because again, here, as a safety of concurrent auditor, I will tell you, if you mention it is a fraud, and suppose it is not there, whether that concurrent auditor in his fees is going to take that responsibility. So instead of that, you tell, in my opinion, these are the suspicious transactions, and these need to be looked into.
Yes.
Once you give it to the zonal manager, your duty is over, because otherwise you will be overstepping. That zonal manager has to take, and again there is a machinery. That RBI has given a machinery when fraud is to be reported, how it is to be reported, because AF4 and all those formats are there. Those are to be reported by them. And if they fail in that, again it will be a duty of the statutory auditor for seeing the head office whether that has been done. Concurrent auditor, no. My answer is no.
Sir, one more question.
My opinion, but I feel no.
Yes. Sir, one more question. Concurrent audit is a day-to-day affair. And since you have been statutory auditor, central statutory auditor of many nationalized banks, how important is the concurrent audit report for the statutory auditor's report? I'm asking this question on behalf of the students so that they become much more responsible after you answer this query, that how important role they are playing while doing the concurrent audit.
Actually, I will tell you, statutory audits, as you know, generally there is a very short time limit, because your appointment is made in the first week of April, and you have been told to complete your audit by 15th. And again, there are 2-3 branches. So I'm saying practical, yeah?
Yes.
So here, again, in statutory audit, I can do tax test check. So while determining my test check, again now LFR, it has restricted that test check also, because you have to give the coverage. What is the coverage as compared to that? What is that? So ABC analysis has to be done there. But here, particularly what happens, is that concurrent audit report comes to your head. You can go through the concurrent audit report, because generally what I am doing, I am telling my people, just go through the concurrent audit reports of various months, especially January, February, March, 100%, and earlier reports also, because they have been complied. And just see whether they are complied. But if at all, even if they are complied, I am telling at least my junior to go through and note down the serious points communicated by him, so that even if he says it is complied, I like to. That's why I said, unless you are satisfied, please don't say okay. Because sometimes you are pressurized to say okay, then it will be your responsibility. And then in LFR, if you see, there you are mentioning whether you have taken cognizance of the report. There, I will tell you, I am very blunt. So if the concurrent audit is not done properly, I will mention concurrent audit report I have taken, but these areas, many areas are not. Because last time what I did, in that statutory audit, actually I suggested credit audit for the last 3 years. I mentioned there I am suspicious how it has been done. So again, it is a blot on the concurrent audit, though I have not mentioned specifically. So as a concurrent audit, because we are also doing concurrent audit, we should be very particular. And my saying is that to even charter accounts. If you are saying your fees is not commensurate with that, don't accept that. Once you are accepted, be very specific, be sincere to your job. So, students, I feel concurrent audit, it is and really I will tell you, during your article, when you are students, concurrent audit is a very good area. You know each and every finer aspect of the bank. So once you become a CA, so suppose you are in even a loan syndication, then also you know what is bank's procedure. When you are advising your client, you are in a better position, because understanding the banks, at this age and from the inner point, and you see, if at all they were not the article student, if at all they have not gone on behalf of the firm for audit, they would have never been given access to the bank's such intricate records. So concurrent audit, what they are doing, they are very lucky, I will feel.
Probably the opportunity, since you have been practicing for the last 4 decades, it was not there at that point of time. What we youngsters are being,
Yogesh, kya hota hai? It depends on your luck. Fortunately, I was in a firm which was Pune's #1 firm, and there we had central statutory audit. And there again, we were auditors of all the cooperative banks in Pune. So literally every year, I will tell you, I was auditing around 150 branches, apart from corporate audits. Apart from corporate audits. So bank audit, since day one, myself or Ruta, whatever is there, she is also coming from that firm. So always, so bank is our area, it touches our heart.
Yes. Sir, so it's almost time, and so very much thank you, sir. Thank you. Matlab, it's been a wonderful session. You spoke your heart out, and our students definitely they have taken a lot of cues from you, and naturally they have become knowledgeably rich from your experience. And being a Sunday, you have taken out so much of time, and you have given a different perspective to concurrent bank branch audit. It's always a pleasure having you, sir. Thank you. We also have Alok sir over here. Alok sir.
Actually, I should be thankful to the Board of Studies for giving me opportunity to talk to. Generally, I like talking. You must have understood.
Yes, sir.
So talking to the young budding chartered accountants or who would be chartered accountants, and that also on a subject which is my liking. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir. Since it's time, let me just propose a formal vote of thanks
Thank you
to all of you. So a very warm good afternoon to all the students. We started this session in good morning, and we always ends up in the afternoon. So at the set, we are thankful to the torchbearer of this profession, our Honorable President and Vice President, sir. They are at the helm for providing all the guiding force in conducting these knowledgeable sessions for the benefits of our students. We are thankful to our chairman, CA Sushil Goyal ji, and Vice Chairman, CA Mupala Sridhar ji, for their valuable guidance and planning and implementing all these initiatives which Board of Studies Operations is taking throughout the year. Dear students, we are fortunate and honored to have amongst us CA Rohit Ruvatia ji, who has given his keynote address in this session, our esteemed member of the Central Council, Vice Chairman of 2 very important committees, which is looking after development of international trade services and WTO from ICI, and also a digital re-engineering transformation committee, a very important committee for all the digital initiatives which ICI has taken. We are thankful to sir for his valuable opening remarks, which have eloquently and aptly set the tone of today's session. And most importantly, we are also privileged to have the presence of CA Shashank Patki, our esteemed speaker for today's session. The concepts related to concurrent audits have been simplified to such an extent for the benefit of our students, backed by the practical demonstration out of your rich experience. The performance, sir, as you rightly said, the performance of Indian banking sector is intimately correlated with the overall health of the economy, and perhaps more so that any other sector. I think so. So much importance is given to the banking sector all the times, and it always stood the test of the time. We have recently seen when there is a COVID pandemic and how our economy has fared as compared to the global economies. And that is the reason why RBI introduces various reforms for the sustained growth. And the responsibility is entrusted to our CA profession to maintain the trust of the society. Sir, thank you for making us understand the responsibility of the auditor, and especially the sensitivity to deal with the suspicious transactions. In this 2.5-hour session, we have touched upon many important aspects, right from the basics to the responsibilities of an auditor for balance sheet item, deposit accounts, loans and advances, and must-do list, be it security alarm, CCTV, exception reports, etc., which can only come out from your rich experience of more than 4 decades. So thank you for sharing all the practical insights and taking out time for this very important session. We are indeed grateful to see Yogesh Pankaji for moderating this session and for your valuable support, as always, in putting forward these practical training modules for the benefit of our students. Thank you for being with today, sir, in this interesting session. And above all, I would like to thank all our students for being with us this afternoon. I hope you have all enjoyed the learning from this fantastic, wonderful session. And in case you wish to see the recording, the same is also available on ICI TV and YouTube channel. So before winding it up, I would request all of you to kindly popularize these practical training modules amongst your friends, peers, and all your social circles so that greater number of students can be benefited from this initiative. Once again, thank you all for being here.
To all the students who are attending this practical training module, it's the best of wishes from the Board of Studies for your examinations results. Those are coming out, and may the best one come out with the flying colors. And a very big thank you to BOS, SSAB, Alok sir and team who are working day and night. Probably the only Sunday they get as a holiday and they are devoting to the students. It's a big hats off to you, sir. The entire team of yours. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Technical